Hello, my name is Noyce. I'm still here. It still also feels weird to say my name like that without having to spell it. It is a thing. Never had a thing before. I also do like using the slogan 30 years without a slogan. Not that I'm 30 years old, of course. I'm not. God, I have such a baby face. When I'm clean shaven, I look incredibly young, but that's not the point. That's not the point. Last time it was recommended I wear a smoking jacket to do this, but I don't have one. This is the closest thing I have to a jacket. It's kind of. But I do have something planned to wear for next week's reading. That is why I'm here, of course. I have another reading. If you're new, I'm a self-published author, and I decided to do some readings on YouTube of my books. And that's one of them. I've already done a few. This is my third one. Oh, that's one. It's my second to last one, unfortunately. I'm running out of stories. I'm working on a much larger novel, and that should be done within the next few months, hopefully. This is, of course, another short story, and I'm going to read the first chapter of it. If you like what you hear and you want to read the rest, then follow the link in the description to pick up the entire thing for only a little over 99 cents. 99 cents is the price without VAT, and I'm one for technicalities, so I don't like saying they only cost 99 cents when they cost just a little bit more. It makes me feel like such a liar. Anyway, boring things aside, here's the story I call As I Sit Here Looking Out to Sea. It's a story that's based quite on my own life, actually, and a lot of my own life is mentioned in it, which... if I've really captured the emotion how I like to, a lot of people are going to be worried about me after reading this story. I must stress it's based on who I used to be. Anyway, it's about a lonely and depressed guy called Liam who contemplates his life on the edge of a cliff. He steels himself, allows himself to fall, and his life is just never the same again. I was told to smile more in these readings. This is not going to be a smiley story. I don't like smiling. It feels too weird. Anyway, story time. As I sit at the edge of the cliff, looking out to the sea, I wonder how I found myself here. I'd always heard from people that it was a nice and calming view, but there were other places I got that from. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the sea, I just prefer trees instead. When I want a nice quiet place to gather my thoughts, I go out to the local park. I spend a lot of time there as a result. I am a fan of my quiet time. I can't say I really get a lot of it elsewhere. One downside of the park is that there's sometimes a lot of people around. It can be quiet, yet I'm not totally alone. Today I wanted to be alone, so I came here instead. I take a deep breath and stare out to sea, with my brown hair blowing in the breeze. I have to admit, it was a good choice to come here after all. Quiet, lonely, and out of the way. This place is exactly what I need right now. I suppose the story of how I found myself here started back when I was starting school. That was quite a while ago now. I'd say it started back when my parents named me Liam, but that would be an exaggeration. There are worse names than that. I should know. I had quite a few of them back in school. I really did try hard with my studies. There were just a lot of other kids who tried harder than me, tried even harder to make my life hell and interrupt their studies. It was kind of funny in a way that it was kind of funny in a way. When the bullying got too bad, they took me out of class. Me. It was like I was being punished for being bullied. I didn't ask to look how I looked or act like I acted. That was always a little bit chubby. When I was younger, they said it was just puppy fat, and I'd lose it as I got older. If anything, I just seemed to gain more. I tried my hardest to keep up with my studies once I was taken out of class, but it was difficult, you know? Instead of having someone explain things to me and expand on them, all I had was one lousy textbook. I must have read through that entire thing without picking up too much from it. So, my grades fell, as I knew they would. My parents and my teachers hoped I would ace my exams, and in the end I barely passed them. The first in a spectacular line of failures for yours truly. It was not to be the last. I thought that things would be a little different when I got to college. I saw school as something that kids were forced to do, even if they didn't want to. The ones who would choose to go to college were the ones who wanted to learn. That hope was one of the few things that got me through school, and it was with that hope that I applied to college near me. It didn't take that long for my dreams to be crushed. It didn't. It turned out I was wrong in my assumption. The people who had been jerks to me in school moved up to college with me. College kids are a lot more mature, but only the older ones. The ones fresh out of school are still the people they were when they left. That was angry and hate-filled for a lot of them. I think school somehow managed to just breed and instill hatred in you from a young age. Whether it be a hatred of studying, people, or school, you always seem to leave hating something. More often than not, you hate more than just one of those things, and a whole lot of other things too. My school left me hating myself. It was wonderful. I made a few friends in college, but nothing really stuck. Mostly because I didn't stick around either. Cue spectacular failure number 2. Dropping out of college after just a few weeks. My parents weren't happy, but they were a little supportive. I guess they behaved the best a parent could. They knew I wasn't happy, and they didn't want me to stay in a place that didn't make me happy. Outside of compulsory education, that is. College is a choice, and I decided I just didn't want to be around those people. I didn't have to take it anymore, so I didn't. I wanted to take a year out of school and just try and better myself. I fully intended to go back to college the next year. That way, I'd be away from the people I hated. They might still be there, but I wouldn't have to deal with them. So that's kind of how things went for the next year. I just lounged around the house in the end. I didn't pick myself up. I didn't lose weight and make something out of myself. Can you see why I feel like such a failure yet? No wonder I'm sat on the edge of a cliff. Being away from society did help a little with my depression, though. Being away from people whose sole purpose seems to be ruining your life has a way of boosting your ego and confidence. Funny how life works like that. So application season came around again, and I decided to go for it. I was actually feeling a little better about myself. I really tried, and the second time around, things were better. I ran into some of the people I didn't like, but it was very, very rare. They weren't in my class or anything either. They couldn't hurt me like they could before. Despite all of my best efforts, I still found myself dropping out again. I wish I could tell you there was a happy ending to that story, but I can't. Sometimes things happen and they just don't go the way you want. During my time at college, I moved in with my dad. Things were a lot simpler there. They were a little too simple. I grew complacent and lazy. I stopped living and just merely existed for a while. I passed my time doing pretty much anything I could. I lived like that for a few years, actually. And then I learned something about myself. I had never even considered it before, but I had a talent. On a whim, one day, I decided to just start writing. Amazingly, I was pretty good at it. I say amazingly, because I never did very well at creative writing in school. My writing abilities grew until one day I decided to put together a book. It was nothing major, just some short stories I had written. I put together all my hopes and dreams and self-published them. I'd like to say it went well, but if I did, But if it did, then I wouldn't be here right now. It went better than I could have hoped, sure, but still not good enough. My confidence was rattled, and it took a while for me to try and pick up writing again. I still have 2 stories that I never finished. True story. One is one I only just started, and the other is the one that actually kind of close to done. I don't know when I'll get back to them. I don't know if I'll ever really write again, if I'm honest with you. I suppose all that and more is how I found my way to where I am now. I'm a loner who never really made friends in my life. I have no one to turn to when I need it. That's why I rely on nature to provide solace when I need it. When things are quiet is when I can think and plan and try to do something. The park was too noisy for things like that, and I'd heard good things about this particular cliff. I couldn't even remember where I heard them. It's amazing what you can hear without even trying to. I mean, I never really talk to people, but being near them, I can pick up quite a lot. I probably know some people better than their friends do. Usually, unless they talk to the same friend every time I hear them talk. I can't say that I know how friends are supposed to work. I've only had 1 or 2 true friends in my life. I told myself I didn't need a lot of friends. The fact is, I didn't. That doesn't mean I wasn't lonely at times, though. Especially when my one and only true friend moved away. At first, I was pretty torn up about it, but then I grew to accept it. I grew to be happy for her too. She was moving to a whole other country with her new girlfriend. I couldn't blame her or be angry or anything when she was just going with her heart. I'd do something crazy like that for love. Pretty sure one day I might have to. Unless someone does something like that for me. That's still a possibility. Like one of my greatest teachers said, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Music taught me a whole lot more than school ever did. I suppose it might not really come as a surprise to you to learn that I regard myself as being a pretty spectacular failure. I have never held down a paid job, and I drop in and out of a voluntary job. I'm not that bad at it, I'm just not committed. There's a great deal of things that I'm not committed to, really. Even when I get committed to something, I tend to lose interest or heart pretty quickly. I have a very shaky ego, and my confidence just comes and goes. Even I don't know when I'm feeling up to something. After a lifetime of nothing going my way, I just came to my breaking point. I reached the point that no one really wants to. I found myself here, looking out over a cliff and wanting to jump. Where did you think this story ended? This is where a lot of stories end. Not this particular cliff, maybe, but certainly a lot of people reach this point. I've seen the statistics. In a matter of minutes, I would just be a statistic. Here lies Liam. Well, at least he tried. I think that's what my epitaph will be. I tried, and for once, I succeeded. I don't think anyone really wants me to succeed at something like this, but I also think that if they didn't, I wouldn't even be here right now. If people really cared about me, then they would know how far I had fallen and how broken my mind was. There's not much left right now but to just jump and get it over with. Suicide is the ultimate selfish act. I've been selfless all my life. I figure I am owed at least one selfish act. Might as well make it the biggest, eh? I stand over the precipice and look down below at the jagged rocks. I scan the ground, looking for something particularly nasty that would probably kill me instantly. I've suffered quite enough in my life, thank you very much. My death might as well be quick and painless. I have to have earned that much in my life. I line myself up with my intended target, turn around, and allow myself to fall backwards. Backwards down onto the nothing that awaits below. Oh, it's almost terrible to end there. Oh, it is definitely terrible to end there. If you want to know the rest, then follow the link in the description and pick up the book for yourself. Well, ebook. And I don't think you can pick them up, you download them. Always remember too that I'm always looking for voice work. If you like the sound of my voice and want it attached to something of yours, send me a message and we'll work something out. I'll be honest, this is probably the best I've felt about one of these readings. It's not often I will praise myself, but I think even I did a spectacular job. That should be even I think I did a spectacular job. Anyway, I have one more reading for you next week. A cool outfit planned. And I'm working on my other stories and everything. And so I guess I shall see you next week with that last reading there. Farewell world. Bye. Please note, I am not suicidal anymore. No, I'm not. No. If I wasn't, I would still be trying to make something of myself with these readings, now would I? I read way too quickly sometimes. Anyway, farewell. Bye.